Alright, hello everyone. This is going to be the replacement lecture for those of you who might miss the first day of Engineering 120 class. Um, Engineering 120 is our Innovation and Design course. This course is intended to provide experiences exploring a cross-disciplinary system and a variety of topics in engineering. In general, we'll touch on the following subject: materials properties and modeling, 3D modeling and design, programming concepts and problem solving, energy efficiency of electromechanical systems, electrical circuits and controls, finally sensor measurements and applications. Also included in this will be professional development topics in ethics, energy, sustainability, engineering achievements, and then the grand challenges for engineering. For those of you who missed the first day, what we'll see, you will have been assigned teams, and I'll show you in the Angels course space where this is at. But this is an example for one section this semester. Your section will of course look different. So let's go ahead and move on in the presentation here. Your instructor will introduce themselves. This happens to be my contact information, and our other instructor, Mr. Rob Borden. This semester, besides the instructor in the class, we'll also have peer mentors, and for sections 1, 2, and 3, these are our peer mentors: Mr. Joel Roberts, bioengineering student; Gage Pepin, senior in civil engineering; Matt Cunningham, senior in mechanical; Stephanie Hunter, electrical engineering student; Rebecca Kloster, senior in civil engineering; and then again Matt Cunningham again in mechanical engineering. So these will be on our little welcome quiz, so you'll want to keep in mind that information. Quick overview of the course. It is a 2-credit course. We only meet one day per week. We'll focus on project-based activities that emphasize kind of hands-on learning and, again, bringing together different engineering disciplines while we explore a system. There will be a big focus on team experiences and group work. This will require individual contribution to the group work and individual exploration of engineering to get the most out of the class. So we'll take a look at the Angel course space. For those of you who are new this semester, Angel may be new to you. The remainder of you are probably experienced in Angel. Of course, there'll be a main course page, calendar, lessons, and the Communicate tab and the Report tab. Let's go ahead and switch over to our course page. That looks like this. As you hop in here, you'll see, of course, on the main course page, you'll see grades, access to the course mail system, and then the syllabus. We'll come back to this one here. Also shown on the calendar is the calendar. It'll have due dates and special events listed here. Good way to keep a track on what's due and what's coming up. Primary space that you'll have is the lessons space. You'll see we have 2 folders at the beginning here, team assignments and professional development, and then following that is our weekly information. I mentioned the peer assignments just a minute ago, and they are shown down here at the bottom as well. Also, details about how to submit your written work. You want to review some of these as you're getting started this semester. The Communicate tab again repeats some of the course mail system, but it also includes the course roster. If you forget the names of your partners, that might be a good way to find their contact information. And finally, the other sheet that will be available for students is the Report tab, and this will be a place where you can select your grades or milestones. This is my view, so it has a few other options. You'll be able to run grade reports for yourself in this location. So moving back to the main page and switching back to our presentation. So let's take a quick look at the syllabus. It'll contain instructor contact information, accommodations, details, description of the course, goals, equipment and text, course grading topics, standards, and of course a general calendar. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at that, switch back to the main course page and pull up the syllabus. So as I said, this is going to have instructor information. So here are our instructors for this semester, myself and Rob Borden. Our contact information is shown on the right-hand side here, and our office locations. For those students who might have need of an accommodation, the contact information for that is here. Please let your instructor know as soon as possible so we can take the necessary action to meet your needs in the class. quick description here and the goals for the students. You should review these in general to get a feel for what we're hoping you're going to get out of the course. Moving on here, we will be using for the first time this semester classroom response devices. So the Turning Technologies clickers, their response cards or responseware should be used. We'll be trying this out the first couple of days in the semester to get a feel for it, and we'll use it throughout the term. There is no text. We'll be using our course website for the primary information. Of course, you're welcome to search other spaces to find details about the content we are talking about. The course grading, let me get a better look at this here. We will be watching attendance and participation in sharing your ideas and participating during class, and some checklist items we'll be asking you to get done every week, part of your assignments. The professional development project will have several pieces. I'll talk more about them in a second, but their contribution will be about 20% of the course. Now, project homework. So as you support your team doing the project individually, you'll be responsible, and that's about 30% of the course. And then finally, the group projects, the culminating pieces that your team works on and submits together, will be 25% of the course. At the end of the term, we'll have a final poster that you'll create, demonstrate the system operation, and do a practical assessment. These are all team scores that you'll work on together as well. I mentioned teamwork, and this several elements will be about 15% of the grade. You'll provide feedback about your team members in a brief method and then also in a more formal method. Some of those scores, you'll actually give them a score and hand them to you as they will hand them back, and those will be transferred to you as well. And finally, the grade standards, typical A, 90% and above, B, 80% and above, etc. is shown here. That's followed, of course, by the course calendar. General topics of what we'll be doing and when homework will be applied. You notice in yellow here 3 events. We'll talk about those in a second. These dates might be a variable, but we'll see how we go with that. Let's switch back to our presentation. Let's talk about some of the course projects, in particular the professional development project. You should visit this section of the Angel course space so you can get a closer look at this. But in general, we're going to do an engineering challenge. This will be kind of a fun event. You'll do some design outside of class, bring a sample of what you think you're going to do as part of this simple competition, and then ultimately, after you've competed, prepare a design report and event report. Just 1 to 2 pages. These projects, each of these are 1 to 2 page project. Second will be ethics in engineering. This will be exploring an ethical scenario in engineering to get a feel for how ethics and the code of ethics applies to engineering situations. The third topic will be different topics in engineering. You'll compare and contrast things on a 1 to 2 page paper related to energy, sustainability, grand challenges in engineering, and some of them maybe history of engineering. We've got some resources for you to choose from for that particular assignment. And you'll have to participate in 1 other engineering challenge. We'll offer 2 throughout the remainder of the semester, and you'll be choosing which one. The 2 events will be chosen by the students here in the first couple of weeks of class. Finally, engineering engagement. Getting involved in engineering is a big deal. It helps you get a reason to stay. Club participation is one of the best ways to get involved, club or student society participation. And finally, at the end of the term, one of the options you can do is attend the senior design events and see what the older students are working on. So let's switch over to the course space again and go to the lessons page. I mentioned the professional development project, and so here it is. You should read what is the project definitions, what the general document expectations are, and then here are the details for the 5 different items included in this. You'll also notice an academic integrity assignment. If for some reason we identify that a sample of work has been borrowed from someone else or provided to someone else, you may be asked to complete this assignment. It's unlikely, doesn't happen often, but just know that's there. So let's switch back to lessons here and then go back to our presentation. Next, our course project. Of course, we're going to work in 2 different teams, as I mentioned. The first team will go 7 weeks, and they'll work on the beam testing and design. This is our introduction activity. You'll learn more about that quickly in this next week. Programming and control ideas, and then motor and pump performance. Both of these will be used on the remainder of the project as well, and so getting started and understanding these elements is an important detail. We'll move into Group B teams for the last 8 weeks of the class. Those will explore electrical circuits, controlling other devices using electrical switching, sensor characterization and applications. So in our case, it's a fish tank controller, so salt water and temperature control. And finally, you'll make the system work, monitor its performance, and adjust its performance as defined by your programming efforts. So this is what's going on. Let's take a quick look here. Again, each of those topics are shown in our lessons folders broken up by weeks. The one change you'll see here is weeks 4 and 7 are split by weeks 5 and 6. Since we're trying some new 3D printing options, we're going to split these up a little bit. It'll be a little bit confusing during those 4 weeks, but I think we'll make it work. We'll switch back here. Class expectations. Of course, we are expected to be prepared for class. That's, of course, demonstrated by completing the pre-class questions and other assignments. Actively participate in class, practice effective teamwork skills, and then put your education first is the best way to succeed. If you're completing your individual work and contributing to the team, you're going to do just fine in this class. So related to teamwork, we will be on 3-person teams as assigned by the instructor. This is pseudo-random. You'll see that we've grouped some students specifically. Individual work will be required. Feedback about group success and concerns will be provided bi-weekly, and grade feedback is given to the partners. So some of yours, you can influence the score, and they can influence the score. So this is why teamwork becomes so important. New teams for the Group B are random as well, with the exception that students with consistent negative feedback supported by specific comments will be grouped together. There's a caution here. Negative feedback usually has 2 reasons. Not doing their share of the work is one common theme, or being a know-it-all or a controlling partner who doesn't work well with others. These are the 2 things that might end you with on a different team for Group B. Okay, so a typical weekly schedule, 2 days before class, usually 11:55, that's the time that the Angel system uses for the last time to submit things. For sections 1 and 2, that'll be Sunday night, 11:55, you'll submit pre-class questions. For section 3, that'll be Tuesday night at 11:55. Before class, you'll also be expected to complete any individual work, and depending on your class start time, that's when the deadline will be. So team projects, professional development items that you're drafting or working on, these things are expected to be done before you arrive at class, so we can check to see your progress on them as we work through the remainder of the day. And then finally, usually due dates for final work that gets handed in or teamwork feedback items are also due 5 days after class. And coincidentally, this corresponds to that same Sunday for sections 1 and 2 or Tuesday for sections 1 and 3. So I've split this up to show that there's usually 3 types of things you need to be prepared for or submit, and their due dates actually coincide. So this one will actually be the post project stuff will also be submitted on Sundays and Tuesdays for each of those sections. Okay, in your groups, for those of you who did attend the first day, you did this jigsaw activity where you reviewed the different homework assignments from week 1. For those of you who weren't there the first day, we'll take a quick look at that portion and you should review it yourself. I'm going to switch over here and go to week 1 introduction. The homework assignment is what we'll be reviewing. In this section are all the things that will be done. Sure, there's about 7 items, but most of them are very simple, and so you should move forward. The summary tells you what you should be doing. There's a welcome quiz to complete, that's item 1. You weren't here to participate in the Tower Challenge, but you should complete the personal schedule report part of this and complete the submission associated with it. Contact your instructor if you have questions about this. Prior to class the next week, you should also complete the pre-class questions so that we can get a feel for what you understand about the lecture that was provided online. And then also be prepared for that clicker quiz. That means go out, obtain your ResponseWare device, and be ready for class. Also, before class next week, we're wanting you to install some software. 3D modeling software, Google SketchUp, or actually it's not Google anymore, it's just SketchUp. Also some software that goes along with that, and software for programming our Lego robots as we move into that in a few weeks. You should also follow the instructions for signing up for our event listserv. When I see guest speakers on campus or hear about student events with different clubs, I want to send those out easily. By joining this listserv, you can be on it as long as you'd like, and you'll hear about what's going on in the engineering department. And finally, we'll be expecting you to use Google accounts, and more specifically Google Drive, to do some of your shared documents. This is a very valuable tool. Make sure and read the instructions for this and make that happen before class during week 2. Alright, so in class they will have done the tower challenge. We'll take some group pictures so that your instructors can get to know your names, and that'll make our week go pretty well. Wrap up. So questions from today, make sure and contact your instructor if you have questions about the homework. Next week our first project is going to be the beams testing and design. As you can see here, it's got an image of a bucket hanging off a small piece of wood, and so we'll be adding weight to this to actually break the samples. We'll be doing some calculations, some mathematical modeling, and later on, the second week of this particular activity, we'll be designing a beam, predicting its failure, and then confirming that failure. So that's enough for what's going on in Engineering 120. We'll see you in week 2 if you didn't make it in. Have a great time. Bye.